Welcome in, LSU fans, to another edition of the Bengal Tiger podcast. My name is Bryce Koon, alongside Matthew Brune, as we get ready, Brune, to wrap up the week before Christmas. Do you have all your Christmas shopping done? Are you done?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I'm big on trying to get everything done by early December because if not, I get anxious, and then I get it all done. Everything's wrapped per se. Are you a wrapper or a bagger?
Okay, I'm a bagger. I'm just going to out myself.
Me
My
too.
wife's been wrapping presents. We're going back to Georgia, and she's been wrapping them, and we'll put them in the car on Friday to take them back, and we'll be the whole week in Georgia. Mine is like, hey, honey, do you have a bag? Do we have a bag big enough for this?
Mhm.
And just, apparently there's a way to do the tissue paper. I just take 2 or 3 pieces, shove it down in there.
Yes, literally.
So,
Just
are you a rapper at
that's
all?
me. No. But yes, my girlfriend's mom is. So she said, just give them to me, and I will take them to her, and they will be wrapped.
So
So
even the presents for your girlfriend are being wrapped by her mom.
yes. Now
That's
the one for her mom, I got her mom a present this year, and I didn't want that, so I don't know what I'm gonna do with that. I might try to figure out how to wrap it or something.
just bag it, because the worst thing you do is you roll up there with some
Do it bad?
just some
Okay, I'll
gross
bag it.
looking,
Yeah,
just looks
that's
like it got
crazy.
taken out of the dumpster 10 minutes
That's
before and thrown
crazy.
in there. But no, I'm glad you got the Christmas shopping done. We're a week out, actually, today as we're recording this, and this will be up on Thursday evening. We'll put it up tonight as we record this from Christmas. And Bruni, we were talking about this the other day. This time last year, I'd have to go back and look at the specific dates, but this time last year, LSU was leading the portal cycle because they were on fire. And obviously, the new schedule has pushed the portal back. So it has been kind of a weird lull, I would say, from signing day to the portal. We
Yeah.
still have, reported entries happening. You can call it tampering. It's the wild, wild west of college football. LSU's had some portal entries, most notably Carious Kern. We'll talk about that later in the show. But I wanted to ask you before we kicked everything off, do you like this new schedule? Do you like you're never going to stop tampering. But
Sure.
do
I
you
mean,
do
it
you
happens
prefer
during the
this than
season.
everything happening in December?
Yeah, I think I'm okay with it. I think the bigger issue now is trying to figure out the date for the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Like the thing that's been floated out by a lot of people is move everything up just a week, just a week or two to where you have the championship game on January 1st and then you have the portal opening on the 2nd. Like
Yeah.
that is ideal, I think, in those situations. And also I like having a couple weeks where if you moved everything up a week, you're not competing with the NFL in those first couple of weeks as well. I think that's also something that I note at least. So yeah, I'm cool with it. I like it all being one window, 2nd to the 16th of January. Everything's done there. I thought the worst thing was the spring portal.
Oh.
From a coach's perspective, especially, like I would hate to be operating throughout spring, be like, all right, well, let's make sure Jimmy gets his 25 snaps today or else he's going to enter the portal. Like,
Yeah.
no, either you're in or you're out.
Yeah. I don't know if it'll change a lot spring game wise, especially at LSU. That was one thing. I know you were in North Texas. I was in Atlanta. We saw spring games differently. People try to get creative with it. Heck, Lane Kiffin's been well known for getting creative at his spring game. So maybe that's something he brings to Baton Rouge, which will be a lot of interesting to watch there in the month of March and April. But to your point about moving everything up, one of it was probably a podcast I was listening to. Maybe we were listening to the same one or reading the same thing. But they talked about, like, why do we not allow these kids to play why is there such a gap between these playoff games? Like in the NFL, you're playing each and every single week. So
And the bowl games.
yeah, and the bowl game. So, allow these kids to get a taste of that and end your season on New Year's. And even too, and this part goes to kind of the wayside a little bit, but the academic side, you can keep everything in the same semester,
Yes.
right? Like that would be a big thing too, where no one's playing a fall sport, January the 20th, I think is that, or
crazy.
21st, whatever the national title game is this year. LSU won't have to worry about that, though. They're playing the Texas Bowl.
Not this year.
Down there in Houston. So we'll talk about that game. We'll talk about Frank Wilson, some big news. So make sure you subscribe as we dive into some of the content. Let's start with the portal, though. Is it safe to say, maybe not disrespectful, but safe to say that until Carious Kern entered the portal yesterday, there was nothing that really tugged at me as like, that's a big loss. Carious Kern entering the portal to me is something that I don't want to say you were going to write him in with a Sharpie marker as the starter at guard next year, but knowing what you have and knowing what you have to spend and how much you've got to go get. I wrote about that today. It's safe to say Carious Kern was going to be battling, if not one of the leading spots to start at either of the guard positions, it felt like, in 2026.
Yeah, I think it was like a month ago almost where I did the story where it was like 5 players I want Lane Kiffin to keep or something like that. And obviously Carious Kern was on that list. Like it's Harlan Berry, Carious Kern, like, the top players here. And Kern is such a phenomenal athlete, right? Like he is such a great mover. He can play the guard spot. As we saw, he tried to play tackle this year. Maybe he wants to play tackle moving forward. Who knows? But I think he has that versatility because of his athleticism and his size. And I just think that would have been a really good like cornerstone piece for Eric Wolford and this offensive line to like move into next year with. Like, all right, you have Carious. What else? Like he can play guard. Where do you want to build around him? Like, where do we need to go to portal and stuff like that? Without him, we'll see how many more of these offensive linemen enter the portal because I anticipate it being a good amount more. But regardless, like you don't have that guy like that's developed a year into it now, going to go into his second season as a 5-star guy. Like I fully believe in him being a good player no matter where he goes. So it's going to be interesting. At the same time, like I said, it's going to be interesting. I'm curious to see who else enters the portal from this offensive line, like a Tyree Adams, like a Paul Mabanga, Cohen Eccles, so on. So we'll see how that plays out. It's hard to have any expectations offensively when the whole staff is gone. Like it's just it's hard. Like it's even Frank Wilson, as we'll talk about, and Brad Davis, who's been there forever. So those are the main. He's the main one for me. There's 10 in total now. Colin Hurley entered the portal most recently. So Hurley, Juwan Johnson, Caleb Jackson, Kern, Kylan Billio, Jelani Watkins, Ahmad Bro, Sadir Mitchell, Ashton Stamps, Wallace Foster.
Yeah. You bring up a good point when you talk about that, and maybe the phrase you're looking for and the one that I was thinking of is you really don't have the building block on the offensive line. Like you don't have that one guy that you're like, I felt comfortable with him playing next year because of what we've seen out of him. I mean,
the one is like Tyree.
Oh, I'm fine with Tyree starting on the offensive line next year.
Yeah.
I just don't. I think that you need to go get a better left tackle. Like I'd slide him over to right tackle if I was him. But going along with that, I mean, Weston Davis. Like here's the God's honest brutal truth about this. This offensive line was abysmal this year. I mean, it was horrible.
Yeah.
All of the guys in that room, Brune, they can't all just be terrible. Now, if they are, then it is something that rarely happens in college football where your entire room you've missed on every single evaluation.
15 dudes in there, they all suck.
I don't believe that to be true. I think part of it is scheme and coaching and this overall coaching and development of these kids. So with Wolford, and as he gets in here and as he's watching practice, I mean, obviously we all saw the tweet today, Frank Wilson and Lane Kiffin watching practice together.
But
as they're watching this, it does come to a point. It's like, okay, what can you work with? I mean, maybe Eric Wolford's looking at some of these guys because with all respect, it's never been about a physical presence or size for Weston Davis. He is an NFL player, like in the way he looks when he comes off the bus. And you have a lot of those guys in that locker room. But it just hasn't worked out. So then, the next week is a chance for them to continue to eval this. Matt Moscona of ESPN Radio down here in Baton Rouge kind of reported that, and I think this is pretty much known that this is kind of how this works, but kind of obviously reported that this is the evaluation stage. Any value that essentially Austin Thomas and this group had put on the players, well, Billy Glasscock and Lane Kiffin are erasing that and putting their own value with that, which makes sense.
Yeah.
How much of this group do you think is retained? Like, you can't, I wrote about it today. Like, yes, you're going to have a lot of money to spend the portal, but man, if you're going to have difference makers, can you pay for 5 new offensive linemen that can play at a high level? Like, no. I don't think you can do that and spend where you want elsewhere. You have to have some type of internal development to work with.
I agree. I think you would love to have like a Cohen Eccles, like if you just give me Tyree Adams, Cohen Eccles,
Braylon Moore.
So Braylon Moore is interesting. I'm on the side that I think he's done, but it hasn't been reported or anything like that. Like,
And he
the guy
hasn't
came
committed to one of these
here.
postseason bowl games, which I think he would be invited to.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see. I don't know, but I'm just like, when we talked to him early in the season, like before the season and stuff, it was always like, yep, came here,
1 year
after
deal.
starting for Virginia Tech, like this was going to be the year. He wins SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week game 1, then gets hurt and comes back and has a fine year, and then goes out for senior day. So like, I would love to have Braylon Moore back. I'm just not holding my breath for it right now, like personally. But regardless, like Tyree Adams, Paul Mabenga, Cohen Eccles, like let's just say like that trio is like a core for you. Then you only have to go get 2 guys from the portal, something like that. You have to be in a position where they're going to have to go get a lot of guys. Some of them are going to be developmental players that just are probably never going to play a snap at LSU, or maybe will like in 2 years or something. But ultimately, they need probably 2 to 3 high-end starters and like high-end guys competing for jobs. And then you're going to try to retain 2 to 3, high-end guys that you think that you value significantly to retain. And that's going to be the question moving forward is who those players are.
One of the biggest things, and even that offensive line 2 seasons ago, Brody, it wasn't what it needed to be, but you had depth. Like, you had Tyree Adams as your swing tackle. You did not have a swing tackle. You barely had enough for a starting tackle at times this year. So, it's one of those things where, like you said, they're going to have to go get some immediate starter players. But like, unless one of these young guys is going to develop into, hey, he can be your swing tackle. Like, I know fans don't want to hear it, but like, unless you just tell DJ Chester, hey, if you stay at LSU, you're playing tackle, and we're going to teach you that this offseason, and he's willing to do that, you have to build out depth. And so you've got at multiple positions on this roster, and especially with quarterback too, you've got to not only have like a 1-year stopgap, you've got to have something down the line that you can develop, because the gap between the 1-year stop the 1-year guy and the true freshman you signed 2 weeks ago, that's not going to work, because you're going to be dipping right back into the portal next year. And Kiffin does that, and that's the landscape. I just don't think that's but you don't want to rely on that. I don't think, at least.
You can portal quarterbacks easier than you can portal multiple offensive linemen.
Oh, yeah.
And another thing that I'll say, just my last point on the offensive line is, I think you look at the players that LSU has brought in from the transfer portal on the offensive line year over year, and I think they all have pretty much one thing in common. And maybe I'm missing somebody here, but athletically, they're not 5-star guys. Like, you look at this year, right? Josh Thompson and Braylon Moore. Athletically, they're not jumping, like walking off the bus like, oh, that's a 5-star guy. Like, again,
they're not testing out of the water, type of stuff.
Exactly. Like, they come from wherever. Again, Northwestern. Braylon Moore comes from Virginia Tech. Like, athletically, they're different. So that's where, on the offensive line specifically, I think that it's so important to where you get the bodies in high school that you can develop into competing with the Georgias, the Alabamas, the so on, those guys. Portaling in 3-4 guys and just being like, all right, this is our starting lineup. I think there's just a really hard ceiling as to what you get in the portal most of the time. At least that's just my evaluation. I realized that, I don't know when it was, like a day or two ago, just looking through like previous depth charts and looking at the offensive line transfers. It's like, it's usually, the guys you're going to get, the Will Campbells, the Emory Jones, like, they're not transferring. You're not getting them from the portal most of the time.
Well, and it's easier to pay a high schooler and much more cost efficient to retain somebody than it is to pay for them on the open market. And, you hit the nail on the head when you said, like, you aren't seeing the elite of the elites transfer. I want to correct myself, because I'm pretty sure there was a tackle taken last year in the first round that transferred into Oregon. I can't remember his name. Played
there's
1 year
a couple.
at Oregon.
I feel like there's a couple every year. I mean, hell, Carious Kern.
But it's sparingly. It's not like
Lance Hurd, Carious Kern, right? Like, those are 2 from LSU leaving, and they obviously will get top dollar. But now my thing is doing it for multiple spots. Like, if you have to go get a center and a tackle and like a backup guard, like, you're using a lot of your resources in that regard.
Yeah, and it's why I think there's a lot of pressure on Eric Wolford to find out what he can utilize in this room. And some of the guys we saw late in the season, Ori Williams, can he be utilized in a Lane Kiffin offense? So we'll see what happens, with that. Ole Miss didn't have electric offensive lines. They didn't have like these just top 15 picks on the offensive line. Lane Kiffin can scheme up some things that helps you out there. But I do think, like what you said, you need to find a mix, right? You need to find out what you can work with, and hopefully, and I do believe, like, at the end of the day, we've bashed this offensive line a lot. At the end of the day, you can't tell me that all 15 guys in that room have no ability to play at the SEC level. Like, if so, then we just watched one of the worst recruiting stretches in college football history in what you brought into the table.
Yeah.
So
I got nothing else on the offensive line there.
But yeah, we'll talk about portal. Well, let me ask you this: is there anything else notable to you? I mean, Colin Hurley entering wasn't super notable. He'd been away from the team. All the other guys are pretty much like, hey, it's an opportunity for you to go play elsewhere. Ahmad Bro kind of hurts, I would say, from a rotational standpoint.
Bro does kind of hurt. I think it would have been great for him. I say for him, for LSU to have him as like a depth piece. But again, from his perspective, maybe you can go get some more money on the open market. Maybe you can get more playing time on the open market. LSU just brought in 2 5-star, defense tackles that are going to eat at snaps as well. So you have Artie McKinley in that room. So yeah, I'm not shocked by it, but it definitely is one where it's like I would have loved to have him in the room as depth. But in college football nowadays, what do we talk about with these top end schools, right? Your depth is usually what gets eaten in the portal.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's a very plain example of where we are in college football with the top tier programs. And we'll see. Bro's a good player. I think Bro did a lot to put himself in a position, in my opinion, just the 2 years we covered him, to even have a chance to get on the field, right? I mean, we heard 2 years ago he had to eat a bunch of Whataburger to even build up the weight to play defensive
pretty
tackle.
Crazy.
So hats off to him. Wish the best to him.
How many more do you think, if you had to put they're at 10 right now, where we set the over under, what, 22 and a half?
I was going to go 22 and a half.
Wow, I mean, look at us. Look at us.
You taking the over or under on that?
Let me skim the roster real quick.
When Brune makes that face, it means it's going really fast. It's like,
under.
Under? I think they get to 20.
Because the thing is, I anticipate more offensive linemen. I'm just going to guess that. There's no more running backs that can. I shouldn't say that. Whoa. There are 2 running backs on the roster, but I'm saying there's not like 5 of them, and they can all leave. But defensively, I think
football, I'd say 0 of 6 running back. You need to go ahead and stack up the room.
I think defensively, the biggest thing is you kept your staff, right? So you're not going into it being like, oh man, Pickett's in trouble. Like, oh, we have to watch where they're all going and stuff.
Woodland,
like
Jakeem Jackson.
Yeah, like when you keep your staff, those players know what their roles are and how they're perceived by those coaches. So there's no ambiguity to this. I think that's so important. So I think I'll go under 22 and a half. I think still a lot of it's going to be offense. There'll be some defensive players. Again, the back end guys. We saw Wallace Foster transfer. I'm sure there'll be some other 3rd and 4th stringers transferring. So maybe they hit the over on it. But I do think defensively it matters that they kept this staff together.
Names like Javian Toviano, Joe Rogers.
Yeah, now that I look at it.
It gets testy back there because you're like, let's be real, okay? Devon Keys and Tylen Singleton. Like, what if Charles Ross, Zach Weeks have progressed enough to where there's just not enough snaps?
What if they go get a portal linebacker?
And by God, they should. But yeah,
and Witt's. Let's say Witt comes back. Again, like it's just going to be interesting. No, there are definitely scenarios where this could even get up to like 30. Just because in the space we're in. But I think. Yeah. And it's similar to why Blake Baker stayed. I think there's going to be an overwhelming feeling within this program, and there is we are looking forward to being a winning program. I can raise my stock here, especially if I'm in the 2 deep here, where I'm fighting to be in the 2 deep on a winning program now that I've Lane Kiffin. Like, all the buzz is around LSU. Everybody's talking about LSU. And if I'm fighting for playing time at LSU and I'm in the 2 deep, why would I leave to go, be at a program that's less relevant? And so I do think I don't know what coach it was. There was a coach, a high major coach or P5, P4 coach where he was like, we're all just trading third and fourth stringers around. We're just swapping them.
Fran Brown said that.
Was
at
that what it is?
Syracuse.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Fran Brown
Yeah.
was like, we're just trading third and fourth stringers around. Like, that's
Yeah.
all it is.
Yeah. I mean, your elite elites are going to be trading your big name players, but for the most part, it's your depth guys. The last point I'll make on that, what probably helps with a couple of the guys that we mentioned, you're not going to have a spring practice that determines if you're getting cut or not, because you can't, because there's no portal cycle after spring practice. Whereas, Brune, that number could have climbed up to 30 easily if one of these true freshmen outplays, one of the incumbent guys, and he's like, hey, I need to leave now. You're kind of stuck. And so the risk of, entering the portal and not knowing what's the lure of spring practice, I will say, maybe not from a fan's perspective or even a media's perspective, but for the players, I think holds more value now because, you don't know what can happen, and maybe you don't want to risk it. Like maybe you're being told on January the 1st, hey, I'm in the 2 deep. Maybe I should stay and stick this thing out in spring practice. I don't know. I'm
really curious how this goes without spring ball, because people are going to have to be either betting on themselves or you're betting on yourself one way or the other, right? Either you're staying and you believe you can get the job, or you're leaving and saying, all right, well, I'm just going to hope that I can go win a job somewhere else.
Yeah, I'm with you. Let's talk Frank Wilson, and then we'll do a break. So obviously reported, Pete Nakos, a bunch of different people on this, that Frank Wilson is going to be headed to Ole Miss. Our good friend Wilson Alexander likened this to like a baseball trade at the deadline where it's like 14 players to be named later. Brune, I don't know if you remember this, but the Dallas Cowboys trading Herschel Walker for like 37 players to the Minnesota Vikings. Yes. It kind of feels like there's just this massive blockbuster deal. Saw someone on social media made the joke, don't even sell your home. Just switch the homes. Like Frank Wilson go live in Kiffin's home. Kiffin just come down and live in Frank Wilson's house.
Well, I saw a tweet that said, don't even play the game. Just let the coaching staff fight it out.
And don't just let them fight it out in Jackson, Mississippi. Don't even go up to either city.
Yes.
But Frank Wilson leaving to go to Ole Miss, this has had so many, and I was really interested when you texted me, let's talk on this topic, because I was really interested to see your thoughts on this, because there seems to be a very big divide on how people feel about this. Whether you feel like Frank Wilson did some wrong things or whatever in terms of recruiting against some of the guys to get into this high school class, whatever. I don't know if I don't, and I don't know if you do have firsthand knowledge of those type of conversations. But on the other hand, you see Ole Miss celebrating they just took LSU's best recruiter. I don't really know the full scope of, like I said, the situation. I don't think this kills LSU, but I do think Frank Wilson was an asset. But I don't think it's doom and gloom that Frank Wilson is leaving. How do you look at it? What's your opinion on this?
Yeah, I think as fans are, it is one side of the spectrum and the completely other side of the spectrum. And as usually is the case, it's somewhere in the middle here. Like I'm not going to sit on the LSU side and say, good, I'm glad Frank Wilson is gone. Like, oh, LSU can recruit New Orleans anyways. It doesn't matter, this and that. Yeah. When I think it does matter. Like, I do think there is something to it. On the other side, if Ole Miss is not getting, Frank Wilson's on-field results in terms of like whether it's, LSU fans have talked about the rotations a lot, right? Like you look at the run game in general, and I don't blame the running back specifically, but, he is a part of that as well. I think there's give and take to both sides here. My only real take is I do think from LSU fan perspective, I'm shocked. I don't want to say shocked, but the vitriol that has come out from fans over the past like 7 to 14 days of just hating Frank Wilson is something that I was not expecting. I wasn't. And it's just every time somebody leaves or some rumor happens or something like that, or someone does bad, it's just immediately flip the switch. This happened and this guy's terrible and everything like that. Heck, I mean, we had a thread where it's like, well, Carious Kern and stuff like that. We're like, oh, well, we're glad he's leaving. Stuff like you can just say like this is happening without being immediately emotional and hating a person. And so that's really the only thing I got to say. I really was just kind of blown away, but I guess I shouldn't be blown away by things at this point after running a message board for 5 years.
Well, fans are fanatics, right? And so there is a sense of having, maybe not the um,
But
ability to step away fully
always,
emotionally. No, I'm not saying it's right.
No, for sure. And I understand the fan point of view on all this. Like I get it. And I agree, to a degree. Frank Wilson is not the end all be all in terms of recruiting New Orleans, for sure. But I always gas up our message board here and stuff, and our fans and the people who pay to be on our site and people who listen to this podcast and stuff in terms of the emotional intelligence that they have most of the time. But over the past 3 weeks, it has become like a real flip of the switch of like, oh no, you're like against us at this point. And it has become like Frank Wilson has been like the martyr of that and like the face of that. And so it's been interesting to see. In terms of football, it is not going to kill them. If they get Kevin Smith as a running backs coach, hopefully they can bring Q1 Lacey. Everything will be fine. I'm still very, very, very bullish on Harlem Berry. And that would be my biggest question is Harlem Berry leaving? Is he staying? We know how he and his parents feel about Frank Wilson. So I do think it at least opens a door. But I mean, if you get Lacey and you keep one of Berry or Durham, I mean, that's still a very, very, very good running back room.
Well, I told somebody this yesterday. I said, and I wrote the 3 questions, Caden Durham, Harlem Berry, and then the combination of Kevin Smith and Q1 Lacey.
Yeah.
If you go 2 for 3, you feel good. Like you feel good about it. And it's not diminishing the value of what a Caden Durham or a Harlem Berry bring to the table. But I'm going to tell you this, like in the case of like Harlem Berry and Caden Durham, look, I get that you may love Frank Wilson, and there's a lot of reasons to like Frank Wilson, the way he approaches recruiting, how personable he is, all of those things. LSU might have the best recruiting tool to combat that, though, in the fact that you have Lane Kiffin as your offensive mastermind. Like, that to me, and I don't know how much it outweighs it, but Brune, I got to think like this. It isn't like they hired, and I'm going to pick on him here. It isn't like they hired Bill O'Brien to come be the head coach at LSU. You know what I mean? Like, you hired Lane Kiffin, who utilizes backs, does a great job of constructing an offense, will carve out a role for you. Like, if you're going to lose someone that impactful, as the chess match becomes, the tug of war battle becomes to keep Harlem Berry or keep Caden Durham, LSU's got a pretty big bargaining chip in the fact of Lane Kiffin's calling plays and Charlie Weiss Jr. That to me, I mean, I'm not now. Look, we could sit here and next week after the bowl game, both of those guys sit there in a portal, and maybe we look like idiots. But to me, it's just one of those things. It's like I kind of trust what they do, and I have seen a lot of that out of our message board. Like, just gonna trust Kiffin. Like he's had the leash to do what he needs to do, and if you bring in Q1 Lacey and Kevin Smith, which by the way, Kevin Smith's son was at the press conference introducing Lane Kiffin at LSU. I mean, he and Knox are like best friends. So all that to say is, I'm kind of okay with it. Now, look, I'm not saying that Harlem Berry's not a good football player. Mr. Brune, you have sat here and said that Reggie Bush-esque with what he can do on the field. So it's one of those things where it's like, it would hurt. But it's like, I guess I blindly trust what Lane Kiffin can do with an offense. And I'm like, yeah, he's going to attract talent. You're going to lose some talent, but he's going to attract some talent. And he's going to utilize it well.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I agree in terms of the Lane Kiffin. And to bring this full circle, like, I think the only real need for Lane Kiffin is get a quarterback and then go get an offensive line. And I'm not worried about the skill positions. Like, I'm just not. Like, I think receiver might be the least of my worries on this entire team now that they have Lane Kiffin. Mm-hmm. Now, I say that I think they're going to have talented receivers year over year. But if they had, like, if the receivers LSU had this year were playing, like, if LSU and Ole Miss swapped receiver rooms, Ole Miss would have been fine. Like, Ole Miss would have done the exact same thing they're doing this year, if not better, honestly. Like, I think they would have had more than enough playmakers. Like, imagine Barry and Brown and Aaron Anderson and Trey Green in that offense compared to LSU's. Like, the point is, like, I'm not worried about receivers at LSU under Kiffin. I'm worried, do you have a quarterback that is a dual threat guy that, has something to him, like a dart, like a Chambliss? like a Corral, if we go all the way back,
Mm-hmm.
and secondly, does your offensive line allow you to run the ball effectively? Because that's really the only thing that's hindered Kiffin at times is if they haven't been able to run the ball.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to be fine in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest and what you're getting at is that Kiffin doesn't have to have elite talent to be great.
No.
And that's why you went and got him, because you thought he was the best coach in the country with being able to do. He does a lot with a little. And I'm not saying Ole Miss didn't have talent; they did. Like, I like some of the receivers that Ole Miss had on that team. Caden Lee, like, they got a lot of, they got some players.
Yeah, Trey Harris last year.
Deuce Alexander they had this year, who's a solid player from transfer from Wake Forest. Like, they've got some guys. I mean, the whole point of coming to LSU was, though, is that that's a place where you can go get the 5 stars. And that's going to take some time because, I mean, you saw what they did during the signing. They threw a bunch of money at Chris Henry Jr. They tried to make plays. Jace Matthews late, and it didn't pay off, and it didn't work out. And, it is what it is. You were behind the 8 ball on those guys already to begin with. So we'll see, obviously, what happens with that there. We'll take a quick break. When we do, we'll come back. We'll talk about some portal quarterbacks. Tampering, is it real, is it not? And then we're going to get into full-on playoff predictions as we'll see how far Brune wants to support the G5. That's what we'll have to do. We want to tell you about our friends, though, over at Brunt Workwear. Listen, it's the holiday season. You probably are too late to get it in time for Christmas, but maybe you forgot a gift, and maybe you need to use the excuse that, hey, it just came in late. Brunt is the place you want to go, whether it's the shoes that you're seeing on your screen right now, whether it's the workwear, the long sleeve tees. It's a durable brand that's going to last you, and it lasts the working man. Listen, Brune and I, we don't get our hands dirty. We play pickleball occasionally. But if you and our dedicated fan base here on the Bengal Tiger and LSU fans around the world, we know that you're hardworking people and you pride yourself on having something that's not just comfortable but durable as well. The best thing about the shoes you're seeing on your screen is that you don't have to break them in. They come broken in. They're going to conform to what you have on your foot. Maybe you've got a weird shaped foot. Maybe you're like our friend Glenn West, who has a size 16. Brunt Workwear can take care of all of those needs there as well. So check out our friends over at Brunt Workwear. You can use code Bengal Tiger to get a percentage off your order today. You want to start the new year off right, whether you've got that job, whether it's out there on the construction site, or you're looking for something to work around the house outside. And Brune, I can't believe I'm saying this, but you're going to want that garden and that grass looking well as we get closer and closer to the warm months here in South Louisiana. So check out our friends over at Brunt Workwear, code Bengal Tiger, and we'll catch you there on the flip side. We don't have the actual shoes; those are in the possession of Shea Dixon. But
yes, they are.
You want to talk? I mean, how are you feeling on pickleball? By the way, you enjoying it?
I feel good. I've played it 3 times now. 3 times. Last time we went out there, I didn't lose a game. I was waiting on Bryce to get me one of the times, but it just didn't happen.
Well, it's just one thing that you are good at is the backhand flick. That's what you're really good at, and that's hard to defend. You're putting that in the middle of the court. It's
got some slice to it. Yeah,
it's good.
I do that in tennis as well.
So,
yeah, if you're listening and you are subscribed to Bengal Tiger On3, and you play and you're good at pickleball,
let's play. I'm
maybe
down.
Maybe we'll run a little tournament, a little Bengal Tiger tournament.
You typically play early mornings, Mondays, Tuesdays, or Wednesdays.
Yeah,
I'm going to throw a free shout out there because I'd love for him to sponsor the show and do a show there. Court to Table in Baton Rouge is phenomenal, and it's been nice to play there when it's 23 degrees outside.
God.
So
warmed up a little bit now. Maybe we can go outside.
It's like 82 degrees today. It was crazy.
Go outside.
South Louisiana for you. All right, Brune, let's talk real quick about the thoughts on the portal quarterbacks so far. Look, big names have entered. DJ Lagway, Sam Levitt, Brennan Sorsby, my guy Aaron Philo over at Georgia Tech entering the portal. We've seen a lot of these.
Is he a Florida lock?
I mean, Buster Faulkner went to his so I don't know if his OC went from Tech to Florida. Like, that's why I asked. You see, they're reportedly going to give that joker $3 million. And I like Aaron Philo. I talked to him yesterday about this. They're going to give him $3 million, Brune. He's played 4 games in 2 years. Crazy. Transfer quarterbacks are going to be a hot commodity, and it's going to be a big reason why LSU is going to have big success or minimal success in 2026. Brune, I was commenting on a thread, one of my articles about this, either this morning or yesterday evening. It's not LSU is going to be a major player in every single portal name that comes open. Like that's the nature of the beast with LSU and how they spend, and now pairing that with Lane Kiffin and how he works the portal. I want to talk about, before we talk about the actual players, what's the plan? because you and I talked on the phone about this yesterday. I think that they could strictly follow a model of what Oregon did a couple years ago, where they brought in Dylan Gabriel as the guy to be the quarterback. And what, Gabriel's a Heisman finalist, like, very good football player for them. Then they brought in Dante Moore, who maybe his stock had slipped a little bit, wanted a change of scenery, was willing to sit for a year with multiple years of eligibility. And then you can recruit the freshmen and that kind of thing. But you have to build this room back up. I made a prediction. I still think it'll sit this way. Of that, there's not going to be one scholarship name in this quarterback room that returns next year. We know Garrett Nussmeier is not coming back. Colin Hurley's into the portal. I don't expect to see Michael Van Buren on this roster in 2026. That being said, how would you go about this? Would you go, and obviously it depends on who enters. We can talk about some of the names, but would you like that route of saying, hey, let's find a guy who can start here in 2026? Maybe it is a Trinidad Chambliss. And then let's find a guy that, has been in a college system. Maybe he didn't get the opportunity he wanted, and he's got 2 years left that we can develop and bring along. And then we can start to hit that 2027, 2028 class.
Yeah, I think, honestly, the way that they brought in Michael Van Buren last year was the right idea. Like, in terms of finding a backup quarterback. You find a guy that, as a freshman, similar to Dante Moore, like at UCLA, Dante Moore even had a bad year, outright bad year at UCLA, and it wasn't a great fit. They weren't good, all that stuff, whatever. So he kind of needed a reset, and he wasn't going to get a ton of money in the portal to go start elsewhere. So Oregon definitely paid Dante Moore, but the idea was bring him in for a year, sit, play. It's your third year, and now he's really, really good. As honestly, not to go on a side tangent, Dante Moore at high school was phenomenal, and he was my favorite quarterback in that class. He was awesome. So I was like, when I watched him have struggle at UCLA, I was like, someone's got to be able to tap into that potential. And sure enough, Oregon can do that. But yes, I think finding a guy like Michael Van Buren and Dante Moore, in terms of having some experience, would be great. A guy maybe that is looking to make the jump. And I think Michael Van Buren, to his credit, had the right idea in his head. You go to LSU to sit behind Garrett Nussmeier, who was a preseason Heisman favorite. They had everything going for them. And so you think in your head, it's okay, I'm going to sit behind Nussmeier for a year. He's going to have a great year. They're going to go from Jaden Daniels to Garrett Nussmeier, and then it's my time. Then I'm the one stepping in. And I think that mindset, I think that's a pretty easy pitch. Now, especially because Lane Kiffin is your coach. And Lane Kiffin can just point out and be like, dude, have you seen Matt Corral to Jackson Dart to Trinidad Chambliss? It doesn't, if you step in here, you're going to throw for 3,000 plus yards, just walking in the building. So I think your assessment is correct. Go get a high level guy, whoever that is, and then go find a redshirt freshman guy who, preferably a guy who could redshirt a year, I'd say.
Yeah.
And bring him in as a backup.
Yeah, I mean, just find that raw, uber talented guy that's willing to understand that he can sit a year here and then take over. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Yeah. Now, in terms of the names that you mentioned, Kiffin has never shied away from stacking his quarterback rooms.
Very true.
You go a couple of years ago.
Yep.
I said this on a show on Monday night, Brune. We forget that Spencer Sanders was a successful Big 12 quarterback at Oklahoma State and said, screw it, I'm just going to go to Ole Miss, and barely played. Walker Howard left that year to go to LSU or go to Ole Miss from LSU.
Yeah.
And Jackson Dart was the starter. I think Spencer Sanders took some snaps. I mean, it was Wiz. He will stack his quarterback room and guarantee you nothing. And I like that. If I'm an LSU fan, I like that because it's let the best man win. Whatever happens, happens. He did it this year, man. Austin Simmons was the guy. And I was even going back trying to read some fall camp reports of what Ole Miss people were saying. Chambliss is electric, but this is Austin Simmons. All the hype and then coming into the season was Austin Simmons is the guy. This is his offense. And shoot, dude, we show up in Oxford, week 4, week 5, that last week of September, and Simmons is healthy. He's out there, but it's Trinidad Chambliss' show, and obviously it pays off. So allowing the guys to compete, I think, is phenomenal. You're not babying anybody. You're not coaching scared of the portal. You're saying, hey, we're worried about the here and now. What's best for us? Who's going to give us a chance to win? Brune, we look at some of these names. I've written about 3 so far. Am I crazy to sit here and say that I think Brennan Sorsby or Sam Levitt is a better fit than DJ Lagway?
Oh no, I 100% agree, and I'm
Okay.
someone who I was fairly high on Lagway out of high school just because of the physical talents. Now I thought he'd be more of a runner at times than what he's ended up being.
Mhm.
Now I know he wasn't never the fastest guy, but
And he was banged
because
up. He had a foot injury that's kind of
yeah,
but
so
he's
it's
been
gonna
a
be
runner.
interesting. I do think if he gets into the right system and the right quarter, like the right offense, I think he's gonna be fine. But for Lane Kiffin, you don't need to have this super big arm and like everything. I would rather have Sorsby, who is a real dual threat guy that is
The point guard.
accurate, that doesn't turn the ball over a ton. Y'all can go read Bryce's story on the board. Um, I would rather have Sam Levitt. I think Levitt would be awesome here. Now, there are some like injury question marks potentially there, but I think Levitt, those two would probably be my top guys. Like assuming Raiola's not in the mix.
I
Um,
I hope not. I
I need to
I'm
see
looking
Bryce
at the
interviewing Dylan Raiola.
no. I've done that. That's other quarterbacks that are in, and I'll just list like the top names right now in the portal. Sorsby, we mentioned Lagway, Raiola, Kenny Minchie from Notre
Mm-hmm.
Dame. A guy that you listed way early, Aiden Childs, that was at Michigan State.
Did he enter?
He is in the
I didn't see
portal.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Uber athletic, 6'3", 215. I mentioned
Yeah.
Aaron Philo, Caton Hauser, probably going to follow his coordinator. He's from East Carolina. Colton Joseph, who lit up the Sun Belt with Old Dominion. And then Jake Merklinger is names. Now, look, more names are going to enter, right? Like,
For
we're going
sure.
to see an influx of names. But I'm with you, man. I watched a lot of Sorsby tape the other night, and like I say tape like I've gotten access to the All 22. You know what I
Got the
mean?
all
Like we
22
go back
going.
and watch the games.
That's what you and Addie are watching
Yeah, I'm
on
sitting here on the
TV.
monitor right here. Like, you're watching this, Addy? Like, let's lock it in here. Eat your goldfish and let's roll. Um, you know, he's a point guard. Like, I think he just facilitates. And I think, like you mentioned and hinted at, that's the most important thing to do. Like, at LSU, you're going to have skill talent, and Kiffin's going to do the best to get the ball out of your hand quickly and keep things rolling. Can you do that? Can you make smart decisions in an RPO style offense? Sorsby's done that, man. I think it was, what, a 27-5 touchdown interception ratio this year, something along the lines of
Something
that.
along the lines of
He
that.
has
Yeah.
turned it on since being at Cincinnati. Like, he has completely changed himself. And I'll be honest with you, Brune. When you first mentioned the name, I was like, "Is that the guy that I watched in Week 0 playing at Arrowhead against Nebraska?"
Yeah,
And
it
I
was
was
bad.
like, "These jokers aren't even moving the football. Like, all he does is run." He had a great year. Like, very efficient with the football. I think Sorsby could be really fun. I think Sam Levitt is a guy that, um, you know, much of the same. Now, the injury concern you would be worried about with him, but you're going to build depth there. The thing with Lagway, and I will continue to pound the table and say this, and way after this kid's college career is over. When we talk about projectability, a lot of it goes into measurables, right? Like
Yep.
in the recruiting and the scouting
Yep.
sphere. There might not be a kid in the country with better measurables than DJ Lagway. Like the God given talent that he has, there's a reason. Bruni, what high school? Where's he from in Texas? Do you remember?
Yeah, North Houston, Willis, right?
Let's see. I can pull it up real quick. But there's a reason why he was, I think a multi-time state. Yeah,
Yeah,
Willis,
Willis.
Texas, multi-time state champion, or at least won one state championship in Texas. Like very competitive
Mm-hmm.
quarterback, very talented. Looked like it translated from 7-on-7 to on-field, Elite 11, all of that. And look, there were even times. I mean, I know you and I weren't working together, but I remember being in Gainesville 2 years ago, and I think we've talked about this. Some of those throws he made against LSU,
Oh
you're like,
yeah.
whoa, like it's there. I think it's become a little mental at this point. 2 years in now, it hasn't gone the way he wanted to. His head coach got fired. Now he's looking for a bounce back opportunity. Now he knows this is probably his last chance at SEC level kind of college football for him to have a chance at. I wouldn't hate it. And shout out to someone on our board who says this. I think the kid has way too much talent to not at least be serviceable. I don't think you have to have a superstar at the quarterback spot in a Lane Kiffin offense. I think you need just, and that's why maybe it's crazy. I'm a big, like as of right now with who's in, I'm a Sorsby guy. Like that's probably, if I had to suit up tomorrow, I'm picking Brendan Sorsby to be LSU's quarterback.
Yeah. Give me Sorsby and give me
Aiden
a
Childs.
reasonable offensive line,
Okay.
and I think they're fine. I think that'd be
Let's
really
ask
good.
this. A lot of rumors.
Oh God.
A lot of stuff circling up in, outside of Belleville, Michigan.
Oh God.
I got to ask you, if Bryce Underwood hits the portal, does LSU? I got to ask this question: if he hits the portal, does LSU kick the tires?
For sure. Yes.
I think the people who are burned by him are no longer on staff.
I was gonna say Lane wasn't the one that was burned by it. Lane probably goes into this being like, all right, here we go.
And I'll say this: if you're a donor of LSU and you're like, well, I'm not trying to give my money to that kid again, well, then you're handicapping Lane and what he can do.
Well, you also didn't. I mean,
you had a plan. I'll say it like that. You had a plan.
I was gonna say you didn't give your money to Bryce. Well, at least in the sense.
Given.
Yeah, that's why I put my hand up. I was like,
yeah, no, I know what you mean.
But you didn't give him the money. Like Michigan came in and gave him the $10 million. You didn't give him $10 million. So I mean, we're circling back around here. Like I still, and I think 90-something% of people in terms of coaches and media members still are like, yeah, this Bryce Underwood guy, like in 2 years will be a first-round draft pick. Like he's still going to be that dude.
Yeah,
bro, put him under Lane Kiffin as a sophomore, and it would be it would be unbelievable. So yes, I think if he enters the portal, I think LSU would definitely go after him. I don't see a reason why not.
No,
unless if he's too expensive.
You got to come back. You got to put those frustrations away. This is a business. The kid made a business decision. Did he burn some bridges on the way? Yeah, he did. But he made a business decision. If you're going to conduct yourself like an adult and be a business, Lane Kiffin.
He burned Joe Sloan.
He burnt Joe Sloan and Frank Wilson, right? That's who he burnt. They're not here anymore. So he ain't going to Kentucky. Tell you that. So, I think you kick the tires. Is there? And look, it's a weird time in college football. Is there anybody else that you're like, if they hit the portal, I want LSU to go get them?
Who did I put in that story besides like Childs and stuff? I'd have to go way back. That was like a month ago.
You put a kid that I covered in high school, Julian Lewis from Colorado. That they got a lot of stuff happening out there in that area in Boulder that I don't know what's happening. He'd be intriguing, but he would be the guy like if you brought in a Sorsby to start, can you convince him to say, "Hey,
yes,
look,
that's the example."
Do you want to have the Chambliss? Like, is it a no-doubter if Chambliss gets his waiver in your mind that he's coming to LSU? Because that seems to be a point of contention between LSU
I feel like it should be. I feel like it should be. If he gets a waiver, I feel like he should come to LSU. I mean, considering that his quarterback's coach, his offensive coordinator,
everything that helped him have success.
Yeah, those type of tools are coming over as well. I know it's not the entire staff, but it's a good amount. I'm looking at the story now. I had Levitt and Sorsby initially. JKS is staying at Cal. Bailey staying at NC State. Malik Washington staying at Maryland. Mm-hmm. I wrote in the would have to prove it section, Deuce Knight, Nico Ayamaliava, Aiden Childs, Drew Mestamaker as the other four. And then I threw an honorable mention, Austin Simmons, Julian Lewis.
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, LSU's going to have a pick of the litter. They're going to be. Brune. I don't want to be pompous in this. You're LSU, and you've got a QB1 spot open under Lane Kiffin. This is the most desirable job on the market, in my opinion, to go play quarterback.
I mean, I've been pompous about LSU since I've taken the job here. Like, do you remember when Brian Kelly was fired? And I was like, "This is LSU, is it not? Like, do I need to reassess my expectations here?" So maybe I do an updated, 10 quarterbacks and, throw Bryce Underwood on there and stuff like that. But I think they with now that Lane Kiffin is here, like I said, the vibe around this program is totally different than it would have been if Kelly was still here and Sloan was still here and all that stuff. Like, this is a completely different vibe here. So I think
and this is all due respect to those guys. Could you imagine if they wouldn't have lost, if they'd have beat Vandy and beat A&M, but then lost the rest of the game?
Yeah, so you're 9-3, missed the playoffs, and you're like, okay, we finished here 20th in the country, but like, what are we doing?
Crazy.
Michael Van Buren starting at quarterback next year.
Good Jesus. Shout out Emil Picarella. So before we get to our playoff predictions, we're going to tell you about our friends over at Game Time. Maybe you're looking to make a trip to one of those playoff games, or hey, they're on a winning streak. The New Orleans Saints are playing well right now. If you want to watch the Pelicans continue to give the Hawks the top pick in the draft, you can check our friends over at Game Time, code ON3, where you can get a percentage off, 20%, or I believe $20 off your first order. It's a great deal. Brune and I still got to utilize it to go down to see the Pels play. Maybe Brune could have utilized it to see the Thunder and Spurs play. Because was that the other night? That was the other night?
Yeah, that was the other night.
It was a great game.
They were in Las Vegas, though.
Oh, that was that was the
game
NBA Cup. Well, maybe you save money using our friends at Game Time so you can buy the flight out there to Vegas and do that. I can't use it tonight, but I would use it if I was watching Trae Young return for the Atlanta Hawks against Charlotte tonight. You can use code ON3, though, for whatever it is, whether it's concerts, games, sporting events, whatever it is. They're a partner with us all season long. We appreciate them. It's a very user-friendly app, and we appreciate their sponsorship.
Get $20 off your first purchase.
Yeah, it's a great deal.
The offer.
It's a good deal. Okay, our friends over at BetMGM have several lines on our playoff predictions, so let's get into it. Brune.
My phone's at 7%.
Friday evening.
Let me get BetMGM up here.
There we go. Friday evening, Bama at Oklahoma. Bama's still a slight favorite, I'm told, per multiple books. What do our friends over at BetMGM have them at, and what are you rolling with?
This line's going back and forth, Bryce. I don't know if how much you've been keeping track of it. Oklahoma is now favored at a lot of books.
Okay.
It's Oklahoma, and I mean, I say a lot of books. BetMGM is the only one that matters here. But -1.5 here for Oklahoma. Total's at 41.5. I am uncomfortable taking a side here. I do think Alabama has been really slipping the past month, and that might be putting it lightly.
They got dog walked by Georgia.
Yeah, and even if you go, obviously, really, even before that, it's just not been great. I lean under 41.5 in this game. I just think it's going to be kind of ugly. I think I don't think the weather's going to be great in Norman, but I do think Oklahoma's defense will be ready to play. Alabama's been kind of one-dimensional a lot of the year, so maybe Oklahoma wins. But I just did you know Isaiah Sategna, yeah, is if I read this right, is second in the SEC in receiving yards at Oklahoma? With how bad that offense has been.
I mean, I was just going to say, the offense is terrible.
It's literally just spam Sategna.
I mean, it's what it was last year when they spammed Bauer Sharp.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
No, I'm with you. On my show 2 nights ago, I took Oklahoma to win this game outright. I just think.
So you moved the line.
I moved the line. Well, I had them at Oklahoma. I had them at -1. I had them at, apologies. I had Oklahoma at +1.5 in this one. But I will take them right now at -1.5. I do like the under at 41.5 in this as well. Look, I think both defenses are really good. I think Brent Venables wins this game at home in front of his home crowd. I know it's hard to beat a team twice in a season. Is Ty Simpson hurt? There's rumors around that.
There are rumors.
They're not going to have Jam Miller for this game. They can't run the ball anyways. And that receiving core just hasn't been as crazy dynamic as I think they should be. And, it is what it is. But defense will keep him in the game, but I think Oklahoma makes enough plays. And that look, Brent Venables' defense, that's the best unit on the field on Friday night, in my opinion. So I like that one. Miami and Texas A&M. Brune, I don't stand for Aggie fans ever, okay? And God knows you don't. This is a disservice. This is an 11 a.m. kickoff. Complete disservice. So A&M is a 3.5-point favorite. The over-under set at 48.5.
Yeah, I don't understand why it's 11 o'clock kickoff. The NFL plays on this day. I know the NFL has a game.
Who cares?
I'm just trying to think why this would be the game and Oregon JMU would be. Now I know it's at Oregon, so you can't put them at 11 a.m.
They can play that game at 4 a.m. and it.
I mean, hell, yeah, put Oregon JMU at 11 at 10 o'clock in the morning. I don't care. But
I'm gonna go first.
Go ahead.
Give me Miami plus 3.5. Give me the Hurricanes to win outright.
The thing about this game, ACC. Watch Miami go on a run in this thing after it would be the most ACC thing ever. I mean, not to bring basketball into this, but this happens every year in basketball where like 4 teams make the tournament and the ACC's like, wow, how dare you only put 4 teams in the tournament? And everyone's like, y'all suck. And then they go and like 3 of them make the Final Four. You're like, oh crap. Well, that happened.
Well, and I want to say this because I think if there's one team that can run the table, has the talent to do it, it is Miami. it comes down to execution. It comes down, can Mario Cristobal not screw things up, and can Carson Beck make the right decision? They have the talent, man. They arguably have one of the best players in the whole round, first round, in Ruben Bain.
Yep.
I mean, and also, is Texas A&M, are they frauds? They only beat one SEC team in the top half of the conference.
I'm going to go with you. I'm going to stick with you.
Probably because you hate the Aggies, but it's okay.
It doesn't hurt. But I will say I think this is more of a battle of which quarterback loses the game for their team between Beck and Reed. And we've seen them in high leverage games make a lot of mistakes that are the reason they've lost those games. Or, I mean, for Reed's case, he had that first half against South Carolina and they end up coming back. But like if you have a half, not even that bad, but if you have a bad half, either one of these quarterbacks, you're going to like lose the game. So I look at it more as which team is going to lose the game between these quarterbacks, because I think Miami's defense and A&M's defense are good enough. But like you said, we haven't really seen. This is a prove-it game for both of these teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'll take Miami plus 3.5 on BetMGM.
A&M, the last time we saw them, it wasn't good against Texas. And so it's just one of those things where it's like, hey, you messed around twice in the month of November. You got lucky and beat South Carolina. You weren't lucky and you lost to Texas. Give me Miami. Miami played well ever since they lost to SMU and Dallas.
Well, they didn't have to play Duke in the conference championship game, so who knows?
Shout out Darian Minton and
done.
Manny Diaz, ACC Coach of the Year in my book. Yes. Well, I don't really care to talk a lot about these games because I think it's stupid that we're even representing these teams in the playoff. I'll give them one. Tulane, Ole Miss. Ole Miss is 17.5-point favorite. Ole Miss is not playing Tulane on Saturday. They're playing Lane Kiffin. This is personal. That place is going to be rocking. It's going to be an incredible environment. I think Ole Miss wins this game by 20-plus points. I don't think it's as bad as it was last time. It was, a 35-point win for them last time? Or 20? Was it?
It was a lot. It was like 40-10 or something.
Yeah, it was bad. Tulane just doesn't have the horses, and it's hard. Look, I think John Summerall's a heck of a football coach. It's really hard to coach two teams at once, and that's what he's trying to do. Very hard. So give me Ole Miss to cover.
Well, that's what Ole Miss coaches are doing too, Bryce.
Yeah, but they got Pete Golding, dude, and he's a South Louisiana guy, and he's got beautiful locks, and he can't do anything wrong.
He's a ball coach.
He's just a ball coach.
He's not out here playing pickleball like us, Bryce. He's not doing yoga.
No, I'm about to slide up in Lane Kiffin's DMs and ask him to come play pickleball with us. So
honestly, I don't even need the content, Lane. I just want to play.
I don't care. Don't even need an exclusive interview.
No. We'll rent out a back room.
Can you hit the ball past Glenn West? That's all I need to
know. Nobody.
No, what you got in this one?
Give me Tulane plus 17.5. 17.5 is a lot of points. I'm going to take it. I think Retzlaff was awful when they played. Like literally,
they're a much better team than they were.
They looked like they didn't know how to play football. And I know Ole Miss is good. Like I was very high on Ole Miss before the year, during the year, after the year. Like I'm high on Ole Miss. It looked like Tulane didn't know how to play football in that game. And I think Ole Miss, while I think the offense will still be good, even if it takes a small step back, even if it's not quite at 100%, like if it's at 90% capacity, the defense, I think is good, not great. Like I still think there's room in here to where 35 to 20 covers, something along. Shut up. Don't say that. 35-20 covers, something along those lines. I'm not sure it gets to a complete, and there's a backdoor opportunity here, which I always take advantage of in playoffs.
Ole Miss it's gonna hurt them not having Lane Kiffin at some point. Tulane's not the team to clip them, though, in my opinion. That might be the Sugar Bowl a couple weeks later against Georgia.
And that won't be a clip. That'll be a massacre.
Well, you talk about a massacre. I don't know when the last time we've had one on the West Coast, but Jesus Christ, we're going to witness something. I'm going to be full-fledged into a Christmas party. I don't know if you're an eggnog fan or not.
I was going to say, you're going to be inebriated?
And if I want to watch this game, because for some reason we're handing out participation trophies, and James Madison gets to go all the way across the West Coast, Bob Chesney can just stay out there after this game and head down the highway to UCLA.
Yeah.
20.5 points. Oregon's going to determine how many points they want to score. This is going to be a bloodbath. I think it's going to be terrible. It's not indicative of what I think about James Madison as a program. I think they had a phenomenal year. It's just, this is dumb. And I don't know why we're doing this to ourselves. I think Oregon's going to kill James Madison. I think it's going to be absolutely terrible. Hopefully I don't get demonetized for saying the word kill on the podcast. But, I mean,
Yeah,
Brady,
do like on the
there's not a
TikToks where it's like,
chance. There. I mean, what is the straight up money line? It's plus 950.
that's honestly not enough. That's not
I'd put
enough.
plus 1200.
That's not enough at all. 950 on BetMGM.
I mean, I might as well
our good
sprinkle
friends.
like $10 on that right now just to see what happens.
It's crazy.
I don't have much to say here other than this.
No, I don't either. And it would have been interesting. Like, we don't have a reference point because last year the Boise got a bye, and so it was kind of like we got to see them versus Penn State in that game. Like, I don't know. This is our first real. I mean, I don't.
Respectfully, Boise is better than a Sun Belt team.
Yes, Boise last year was definitely better than JMU this year, and they had a reference point of like playing Oregon close, and they, Boise was better. So it's definitely. I'm gonna take Oregon minus 20.5. I think James Madison's defense can keep them in it for a little bit, but offensively, I don't see how they score the ball at all. So that's where I'm like, I don't see that.
I mean, Oregon's going to have to stumble. Oregon's
But
going to play a C game to even give James Madison a chance to win this.
Yeah. Again, I don't blame James Madison here. I blame the ACC for just.
Oh, I'm not trying to dog on James Madison. The ACC and the powers that be are completely inept. By the way, I know we're getting out of an LSU show here.
Yeah, we're getting into your
what the
crowded
ACC
booth.
is doing. They have
With
like
what?
9 teams playing 9 conference games, and the other ones are playing 8 conference games next year because of the scheduling imbalance.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that.
It's a joke of a conference. Get out while you can, Tech fans.
That's embarrassing. Why don't they just go to divisions again and just? Oh, I guess everybody couldn't even play each other in divisions.
What are you going to have? An East and then just a West with just Stanford and Cal hanging out over there? Like, what's the point? God.
Yeah, what a terrible conference that is.
It's just a joke.
Yeah, give me Oregon. If we want to fast forward, champion.
Can we go championship game?
Sure.
I got to look at the bracket
To
make sure, because you know me, I can't visualize brackets. I got made.
Yeah, I got it.
Buffalo Wild Wings outside of Oxford.
Golly, that boy Bryce was struggling.
And then I spilled water everywhere. This is easy. Georgia, Texas Tech.
Wow. So Texas, who wins? I can't let you pick a championship game. Okay,
Georgia.
of course. Georgia, Texas Tech. I'm gonna go Indiana, Georgia.
Indiana, Georgia. I'll lean to that one.
I'm gonna go Indiana.
Indiana
Georgia.
has an edge rusher out though, a big defensive lineman that is.
Yeah, honestly, maybe I'm just tired of people talking about how bad Indiana is. But just throughout that game, watching Indiana versus Ohio State, everybody the whole first quarter is like, "Oh man, and Indiana's gonna. It's just a matter of time." And I'm here sitting on our board talking to like football fans. Like, am I the only one that thinks this has been a really good competitive game?
It was a great game.
It was fantastic.
It was the best conference title game of the week. Well, yeah.
They don't let teams run the football on them. Like they obviously have Pons in the back end who just a hell of a player. Mendoza's awesome. Like they make plays. I don't know.
Mendoza's on crack, and when he does interviews, so it's awesome. Yeah.
Give me Indiana. Win it all. Why not?
Indiana
Let's go.
to win it all. Mendoza and Kurt Signetti. Then Signetti takes the Alabama job when DeBoer goes to Michigan.
No, I put Signetti on my very, 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 very first LSU hot board, and that was a time.
What a time!
That was a time. Let me see. Hold on, real quick on BetMGM. Do they have futures here? What can I get on? Yeah, they do. Of course they do. All right, national championship winner: Indiana plus 275, Georgia plus 500. Okay. Sprinkle that over.
I can get Villanova plus 500 for the FCS championship winner.
I was like, hold on. Yeah.
Ole Miss plus what can I get for James Madison? Plus $5 million.
That's not
Now
million.
this
That's not a million. But yes, okay.
50,000.
50,000. Yeah.
That is absolutely. If I put $5, I could win 2,500.
Well, you might as well do it on Tulane because Tulane has the same odds.
No, dude. Bob
Telling you.
Chesney for the win.
Do both of them. One of them hits. You're rich.
Parlay it. It doesn't make any sense. Just parlay both of
Oklahoma's
them to
plus
win a national
5.
title.
Oklahoma's plus 5,000.
That's
Even though they're
crazy.
favored in their first game. Someone make that.
This is our first podcast over an hour.
Yeah, well, we got to get through Christmas. So, yeah, and people are going to be traveling, so we're just talking at this point.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's do it. Let's get out of here.
We appreciate everyone for tuning in. BetMGM, Game Time, and Brunt Workwear. Thanks for shout out to those sponsors there as well. And My Perfect Franchise for you people that love My Perfect Franchise. Matthew Brune, my name is Bryce Koon. We thank you so much for tuning into the Bengal Tiger podcast. Make sure you check us out on those message boards over at the Bengal Tiger and continue to subscribe and follow us on all those podcast platforms. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for listening and watching, and have a fantastic Merry Christmas.